there's one thing that I have observed today is that a lot of discussions and debates that happen in social media, unfortunately, are not helpful at all. Complex issues of the kind that the society is facing simply cannot be discussed in 30 seconds and 1 minute and, few words. People are increasingly becoming intolerant about having nuanced opinions. And the nature of the issues that we're dealing with today requires nuanced understanding. So I actually worry a lot about the significant and adverse impact of social media on opinions that get generated. I'm perfectly comfortable for social media to act as pure generators of news. It can immediately share information. Something like, a flight is delayed. It's typically communications are one way in the sense that an email is sent around to people to specific addresses and they see it. But the beauty of a Twitter is if you put it in the public domain, anybody can see it, know it, understand it. Where I have comfort is people discussing issues through Twitter. And that's the worst thing you can do because you simply can't express your views. And on top of it, there are all kinds of trolling that happens with regard to those views. And it can potentially trivialize the issues, but also silence those people who may not have the tendency to voice out their opinions in that manner. In a way, there's one lesson that we need to inculcate among our young people is to be extremely circumspect about the use of social media. There is a very good role that social media plays for generating information and sharing news, but we need to be very conscious that responsible use of such platforms can only do good. Otherwise, you end up trivializing, but more importantly, creating a kind of a divisive society in which news gets, misquoted. There's another unfortunate thing that has happened in social media, and this is actually becoming even more serious now. Systematic and comprehensive approach towards generating fake news and fake content and even articles which are entirely inaccurate and fake that are passed out in the social media. In a society which is quickly forming opinions and impacted through those opinions, this can be potentially dangerous. You remember, since you are from Assam, I don't know whether you remember, I think some years ago, an inaccurate information about something related to Northeastern students was circulated, and that resulted in violence committed against certain individuals. And the unfortunate part of the social media is once you put that information out in public domain, the damage control becomes even more difficult. So in a way, there has to be a more discussion and debate surrounding how to use social media. Although I am equally skeptical about the idea that government bodies can regulate social media. We need to figure out a better approach. And I think the other thing that has happened is that people are, media as a platform is also now used and abused by a lot of people for other types of vested interests. Let's say somebody is having a private conversation or in a classroom setting or in another social setting, things are recorded out of context and put it out in the public domain. We don't have opportunities to hear what the other person has said or what the other person's context in which it was said. And by the time damage is caused, a lot of people are affected. People have already formed opinions about it. So in a way, we are in a very, very difficult situation with regard to the current approach towards social media. Responsible people, including educators, educational institutions, need to have a free-flowing and a sincere dialogue at all levels, including with faculty, students, and staff, about how do we ensure that the social media mechanisms in all its forms and manifestations is actually contributing to the public good as opposed to undermining the ability of us to protect free speech and freedom of expression.